This is CBC Here and Now.
The helicopters here were mandated right now to transport people from Stephenville to Port-aux-Basques.
The military is on the ground and in the air.
As two washed out sections of the TCH are set to reopen.
And just in time, after the record rain last week, there's more to come.
Watch the roll, look out! Brad Gushue will go to Beijing.
Brad Gushue is going for Olympic gold again.
Team Gushue took the top spot in the curling trials and will represent Canada in Beijing. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. We begin with the ongoing repair work on the southwest coast. Over the weekend, crews have made progress connecting the Trans-Canada Highway, but there's still work to be done. Here and Now's Peter Cowan is back from Port-aux-Basques and is following this story now from our newsroom. So, Peter, what's the latest?
Well, Carolyn, 2 of those 4 washouts are now at least passable, which means the Trans-Canada Highway is now at least partially connected north of Little Paradise Park. Crews were busy on the weekend. Let's show you what they were up to. Here's what it looked like yesterday from the air at that first washout. As you can see, they're busy replacing the culverts there. This is one of the washouts that is now passable, but it's only a single lane, so be prepared for delays if you're trying to make it through. Crews are still busy getting a permanent replacement, and they want to get that done and get it finished so that people and goods can get moving again on this critical road. Now, the 2 southern washouts are still impassable. Work there is ongoing, and the Department of Transportation is still saying it's probably going to be midweek before people can drive over them. In the meantime, people who have medical appointments, for example, are being helicoptered in and out. Aaron Hayes, for example, has a heart condition. He needed to get some tests done, so he needed a helicopter ride to get to it.
The test has been postponed about 3 times now. Last time was for the computer hack, and so it was postponed again to Friday, but I had another call Friday that said that they could get me out here today, and then through a few phone calls this morning, they called me back and said that they would get my test done today. And it's very important because Dr. Gould in Corner Brook won't diagnose me until I get all the tests done. So it's been a long 3 months, but hopefully I'll get some closure today.
Now, the military has 2 helicopters operating out of Stephenville on top of the fleet of private choppers that the province has been using. It was a good day for flying today, but the military is keeping an eye on the weather.
Right now, the weather is good for today, but as soon as the freezing level going low, ice can go on the blades and we cannot fly at all in this. So we'll see with the weather day by day how it is. But for today, it's a good to go for sure.
Not everyone could get access to a helicopter, so they had to find their own little bit of ingenuity to get out. For example, Milton Keeping lives in Burnt Island, but works on the Great Lakes ships, and so he needed to get out in order to get to work. He couldn't drive over the washouts, but he could walk, so he got dropped off at the first one, and I'll let him explain his journey.
Walk down through the barricade, down through the grave, and come up the other side, and walk to the weight scales with all our luggage. And then we had another guy picked us up from there and brought us to the other side of South Branch there, the first North Branch. Okay. And then we got a ride from North Branch. We walked, got in the truck and come from North Branch to here. And now we're waiting for a ride from Corner Brook. His sister is coming to pick us up and going to take us to Deer Lake Hotel where we staying tonight. And we got a flight for tomorrow.
Talking to the mayor of Port-aux-Basques today, what he's worried about is more rain that's in the forecast. And the big question is whether these temporary repairs are going to hold. So let's bring in meteorologist Ashley Brauweiler. Ashley, how much rain is this area set to receive?
Well, it does look like a significant amount of rain is on the way. Pretty much from, say, 6 o'clock tonight till 6 o'clock tomorrow morning is when the heaviest rain will fall. And at this point, it's looking like about 60 to 80 more millimeters is possible in that time frame. The reason for that is the area of low pressure that's already bringing or about to bring some showers just to the southwest as we head through the next couple of hours. But it's already prompting some warnings, looking very similar to last week with those wind warnings all the way through up to Parsons Parsons Pond rather, and then those rainfall warnings for the southwest, Portabass through to Burgeo, as well as Lanzaloo under a rainfall warning as well as a snowfall warning. It's kind of the same setup, another atmospheric river. The good news with this one is that it's moving through fairly quickly, so it's not going to stay as long as it did last time. By Tuesday afternoon, that will already have moved out, but it is going to drop quite a bit of rain with it through the night. So this is what we're looking at by Tuesday morning, pointing at another 100 millimeters possible in those higher elevations where we did just see that record rainfall. Very saturated around there, so we're looking at another 70 to, well, say 60 to 80 millimeters, pretty much where we saw those records. And then as you head further north, again, along the strait there, you're looking at those rainfalls between 70 to 80 millimeters. So certainly lots of rain. We also have some snow on the way for parts of Labrador, but I'll get into that when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, staying in that neck of the woods, a business in Stephenville is making do with what they have. The owner of the Killick Cafe and Gift Shop says he's never seen such a disruption in the supply chain. With multiple canceled shipments, he says they're just days away from running out of their staples.
With COVID, we had pricing issues, but we never had a real serious supply issue where you couldn't substitute one thing out. We're getting to the point now that we're wondering if the milk's going to arrive, our staples are going to arrive, because as you know, Newfoundland, we don't really produce a lot of our own goods. If they don't show up one day and I can't find a suitable, cost-effective substitute, it hurts our bottom line, and it comes to the fact that you'll operate less hours, so it will directly affect our bottom line. It's to substitute it to go down to a grocery store and buy retail size. With food costs and all these things associated with putting out our products, it's not cost effective. We would lose money, not breaking even. We'd lose money if we have to get substitutes from downtown. And then we're taking away from mom and dad cooking Sunday dinners because they won't have their staples if I start going down and taking what they need.
How much longer can you go without a shipment?
We're into days. We're getting towards, I won't say panic mode, but we're borrowing. Some of the bigger franchises have different systems in place, and in a small community you can kind of reach out. Pete's Light down the road is really good to us, so we can lean on them for some things like that, and do some substitutes. We've kind of got into our tickle trunk and brought out some old recipes that use the products we have on hand.
All right, so scarcity. Well, volunteers have been stepping up to make sure that truck drivers waiting to catch the ferry in Argentia don't go hungry. Marine Atlantic has restored its ferry service to Argentia with the Trans-Canada Highway still unpassable on the southwest coast. But a backlog of trucks with limited options for essentials had community members scrambling to action.
So it kind of started, a couple of friends reached out to me to see what we could put together to keep the truckers going. We just see a few people sharing some stories about the trucks being in the lineup and hoping that we could kind of help them out because we didn't know how long they were going to be there. And because we had so many people looking to help, I created a Facebook group. So that built very fast. We ended up with, I would say, almost 150 bags because we had so many people donating so much food. So it's just overwhelming to see how grateful that the truck drivers were when we were going around to them and how much our community wanted to just step up and help. So they're just sitting in their vehicle and we're just knocking on the door or they're putting on their window when they see us coming and a big smile, and we're just offering them some hot food, some meals. We had, like I said, the snacks, hot tea and coffee. They're just so grateful for it. And one gentleman actually mentioned, he said, you know, if we were anywhere else, they'd probably be calling the cops because we're parked on the side of the road and in somebody's way. He said, but he said, you're just steady coming with food and drinks and stuff. So they're very grateful.
I see a community pulling together when a need is in arise. The community came together when it was needed, stepped up and helped out the truckers that were in need here in our area.
Our community is very giving. They always want to help any way they can, and it's just nice that we can give back to them a little bit now that we have the opportunity, and I think that's why so many people wanted to help out and do that. It's nice to see that how important they are, and especially since COVID, we've all seen how essential they are. So it's very nice and it's very heartwarming that we can do that and keep the smiles going for them. So.
Oh, kind gestures. All right, to other news now. 9 new cases of COVID-19 to tell you about, the total accumulated over the weekend. Public Health says 5 of the new cases are in the eastern region, 2 new cases are in the Central Health region, and the other 2 new cases are in the Western Health region. There are currently 21 active cases of COVID-19 in the province, with 1 person in hospital. Meanwhile, concern is growing around the globe over the new Omicron variant. Health officials in this country confirmed 3 cases, 1 in Quebec and 2 in Ontario, in the Ottawa area, and more are expected. The individuals recently traveled to Ottawa from Nigeria and are in isolation. The cases are the first reported ones in North America. Canada has put restrictions on Canadians coming home from several African countries. Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Kieran Moore, held a news conference and said that he hopes present anti-pandemic efforts will help.
I know that this news of the variant feels concerning, but vaccination in combination with public health and individual protective measures has been working to reduce the spread of COVID-19 and its variants in our communities. So please keep up this great work that has got us to this point in the pandemic.
Well, there has been a notable milestone when it comes to power generating capacity in this province, and that's likely to mean a lot less fuel burned at Holyrood this winter. But as Terry Roberts reports, plenty of questions remain when it comes to the transmission of Muskrat Falls power to the island and what our power bills will be next year.
All 4 units have now been transferred to operations available for service.
4 years behind schedule, 50 million person-hours of labor. The generation station at Muskrat Falls is finally complete. Output of more than 700 megawatts earlier this month.
And we are 1 step closer to completing the overall project.
But all that Labrador power cannot yet be safely and efficiently transmitted to the island. The software needed to operate the long transmission line from Muskrat to Soldiers Pond remains plagued by glitches. A version of the software has allowed for the transmission of up to 330 megawatts, and that number could grow even higher in the coming weeks.
But with regards to concluding the project and accepting the software, the current schedule is the end of this winter.
But hydro officials expect this winter will be a game changer when it comes to oil consumption at Holyrood. On a cold day, the thermal generating station can burn through 18,000 barrels of oil. But if all goes to plan, most of that carbon-emitting oil will stay in the tanks.
But I do think that the actual savings of fuel, both from a cost as well as a greenhouse gas perspective, will be significant with what we're able to deliver this winter.
Now that Muskrat is complete, the mortgage is due, about $34 million every month just for the power station. So what will that mean for electricity rates? Hydro will use savings from oil consumption and some borrowing to pay the Muskrat mortgage, while Hydro works with politicians on a rate mitigation plan and a financial restructuring of the project. Rates will go up sometime next year, but Jennifer Williams says they will not double, as was feared.
I think you will see not a huge increase.
The path to power for Muskrat has been a troubled one. Long delays and major cost overruns, a public inquiry, and now with a vow by the new Hydro CEO to do things better.
I think we acknowledge the findings, of how we got here, and that we commit to doing things in a much more transparent and accountable way, but as much as we possibly can, for decisions that move into the future.
No change today in the final cost, $13.1 billion. But Jennifer Williams admitted that might change early in the new year. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
The holidays are now upon us. Yesterday marked the start of Hanukkah. Members of the Jewish community in St. John's gathered for the lighting of the menorah. They drove their cars to an empty parking lot and listened to the rabbi and guest speakers over the radio. Snacks and drinks were delivered to those in attendance, and a fire juggler was there for entertainment. This is the 5th year a celebration has been held publicly in St. John's, but the second time it's been a drive-in event because of the pandemic.
Foods and stuff like that. I like the fact that it's kind of similar to Christmas, like it's both to celebrate family and stuff, and they're both kind of similar holidays, and they're both like a lot about love and like spending time with your family and stuff.
I think the best part about Hanukkah is the opportunity for everyone to get together as a family to celebrate around this idea of lights in the darkness, and to really be together and be a community and a family together.
Well, St. John's Santa Claus Parade was in full swing yesterday. The annual event was canceled last year because of the pandemic. And even though the event was scaled back in size this year, as you can tell, thousands of people lined the streets to get their fill of holiday cheer. The kids excited to see Santa and, of course, tell him what's on their wish list this year.
It's really exciting because last year we didn't get to do it, and this year I finally get to see Santa. Excited! Excited!
What do you think is going to be your favorite part of the parade?
Santa! Claus! That's the Santa's hat.
Oh, letter.
Yeah, we're going to get this for Santa.
You're going to give that to Santa?
Yeah.
What kind of things do you want for Christmas this year?
I'm going to have some more Barbies.
Some more Barbies?
A new food kit.
A new food kit?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that?
I will make stuff with it.
It's like the kickoff for the Christmas season, right? Yeah, so it's nice to start that tradition, and it's nice to be able to bring them too. Yeah. Telling her that when we were little, we used to dig a chair in the snow pile and sit in that to watch the parade. So this is golden Santa Claus parade weather.
Yeah,
hey, no stomping your feet trying to stay warm. No, it's good.
So cute. Well, Team Gushue is once again going for gold. Last night, Brad Gushue's team qualified to represent Canada at the upcoming Winter Olympics in China. Now, Gushue defeated Brad Jacobs 4-3 in last night's Olympic trials men's finals. Here now's Mark Quinn reports.
By one going to four.
The 2006 Winter Olympics in Italy. It was a huge moment in Newfoundland and Labrador's sports history.
And a commanding 10-3 lead. And already, Billy Mackala is up, congratulating Jamie Coram and Mark Nichols.
Maybe even the biggest moment in the province's sports history.
A gold medal for Canada. Let the party begin.
I was actually newly into curling. It was my second year, so it was huge. I remember watching with Mom and Dad.
Greg Smith, one of the province's top curlers now, was 10 years old at the time, cheering along with the rest of Canada.
Mom, answer the phone!
Huge for the Gushue family, but also a massive boost for young people like Smith.
They realized that they could do it too, and anything was possible from being from Newfoundland and Labrador. And it was a really neat moment. We've had some really good curling moments, but that certainly is number one.
Last night, Brad Gushue was at it again at an Olympic qualifier in Saskatoon, proving anything is possible again. Maybe even a second gold medal.
Stay with it. Watch the roll. Look out. Oh, and the roll too far. Brad Gushue. Brad Gushue will go to Beijing.
Congratulations, guys. It's amazing for Newfoundland and Labrador curling. Thanks for all you've done, and go bring home the gold in Beijing.
Construction of the Team Gushue Highway started after the first gold medal win in 2006. Now it looks like Brad Gushue could win a second gold medal before it's completed. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Another highway. Now, when Team Gushue touched down at St. John's International Airport, fresh off their 2006 Olympic win, hundreds came out to welcome the gold medalists as they came home. And CBC was there. I'm going to leave you now with a look back at that moment.
It had been a long wait. A flight delay meant people were hanging out for hours, but no one seemed to mind. People came from all walks of life, all ages, and from all over the province.
We came to see Brad, of course. We haven't missed one of his games. We've watched it all, and every time he said, "Hi, Mom," we all cried.
Marjorie has one message for Brad Gushue.
I would tell him that I think he's a wonderful athlete, and if I had a son, I'd like for him to be just like him.
Brad and his fellow curlers never expected to be treated like rock stars, but they were soaking up every minute of it. Brad hopes the team's victory will send just one message to fellow Newfoundlanders and Labradorians.
There's no reason we can't succeed in anything we want to do. It may take a little extra work, but if you want it, you can do it.
That message is already getting through to some of the children who stayed up way past their bedtime.
People always say that like Newfies are dumb and stuff, and you know, just to see that like people who like, you know, came from here and curled here, went that far, and you know, won gold is pretty impressive, if you ask me.
Some people drove long distances to get here. This man and his son's family drove from Lewisport just for the homecoming.
And it's curling now, and it's Newfoundland, it's Canada. Oh my, those poor millionaires who tried to play hockey, never got nowhere with it. And here we are, boys, celebrating. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, words can't describe it.
Well, not only do we have rainfall warnings for parts of the island, but we've got a number of snowfall warnings for Labrador. Significant snowfall on the way. I'll get into those details when I come back.
The Newfoundland and Labrador's one and only model boat museum, Marystown's most recent acquisition. Sunday at 11:30 and Monday at 7.
Well, time for a look at the weather, and it was a lovely day. I got out for an early morning hike in the woods. The dogs got all muddy with all the warm temperatures keeping everything thawed out. And, yeah, but it was nice.
It was lovely today. Not a whole lot of wind. Temperatures well above where we should be sitting this time of year. Let's take a look at those numbers. 9 degrees, and like Carolyn said, it's looking like these temperatures are going to stay fairly mild for the next little bit. Temperatures right across the board, at least on the island, pretty warm, between 3 to 9 degrees as the daytime highs today. And then for Labrador, temperatures even above 0. Mary's Harbour, Cartwright at 2 degrees, Happy Valley Goose Bay at 1. The rest of Labrador currently sitting below 0. And we're looking at those temperatures, and they're dropping across the island as well, but we are actually going to see those temperatures bump back up, and that's as our next system moves in. So that area of low pressure is starting to get organized over the Maritime provinces as we speak. There's lots of snow with this one, and then rain as well. Already starting to see some of those showers just edging into the southwest as we speak, and that will continue as we head through the evening hours tonight. The warnings in place. Wind warnings from Hawke's Bay all the way through to the Wreck House area, looking at gusts generally in and around 80 kilometers per hour, but those areas that are prone to enhanced southeasterlies will see gusts upwards of about 100 kilometers per hour. Wreck House area 130, and then those snowfall warnings as well as rainfall warnings again for the southwest. Looking at again 60 to as much as 80 millimeters of rain, but those higher elevations could see about 100 millimeters of rain. Other thing to note is snowfall warnings from Hopedale all the way down to along the strait, including Happy Valley Goose Bay. And we're looking at some significant snowfall amounts as we head through tonight. Even the tip of the northern peninsula could see somewhere between 5 to 10, maybe a little bit more than that. And then eventually this takes us through to Tuesday morning. The southeastern portion of Labrador will change over to rain because of the track of the system, but then it will be heavy. That snowfall will be heavy as you head towards Happy Valley Goose Bay, even up through Makova. We could see 20 to 30, even 30 to 40 centimeters of snow fall through the day tomorrow and then into Wednesday morning. So quite a bit of snow on the way. We track that out or time that out. Added the wind gusts here as well because winds are really going to ramp up with this one as well, hence those wind warnings. But expect the winds tonight to be gusting somewhere between 60 to as much as 80 kilometers per hour, and then that rain moving in, which will be heavy at times. Some of these amounts could be 5 to 10 millimeters an hour, and you can see that pretty much right across the island. And then with the track of this system, looking like we could see some ice pellets transition from snow to ice pellets, and then eventually rain for southeastern Labrador as we head through into tomorrow morning. And then as far as those temperatures go, they're going to climb up. So the temperatures you're seeing right now in the southwest are actually the coolest you'll see. They're going to warm as we get into the morning hours. 10 degrees for Port aux Basques by the time you get there. Corner Brook will see that temperature rise as well. And again, those winds will be very breezy. Otherwise, up across Labrador, those temperatures are going to dip, hence that snow. Lab City will go down to minus 14 tonight. Now, as we head through tomorrow, that system is still going to continue to bring lots of snow for most of Labrador. And then as it continues to track a little bit further north, actually everything should taper off as we get into the afternoon hours. In behind that, though, we see those wind shifts and that temperature drop. And there's actually a pretty good setup for snow squalls along the west coast. You can see this model picking up on it fairly well. Some of these snowfall bands could see about 5 to as much as 15 centimeters fall, and that will be tomorrow night through Wednesday morning. Now, as far as the rainfall totals go, like I said, 60 to 80 millimeters possible for the southwest, but then southern areas of the island as well as the eastern areas of the island could see about 30 to 50 millimeters. Most of us will see between 10 to 20. Now, just wanted to quickly show you the forecast for tomorrow. Look at those temperatures, well above where we should be sitting this time of year. 10 to 12 degrees as the daytime highs across the island. And then as we look towards Labrador, those temperatures will be much cooler, except in the southeast. Mary's Harbour reaching a high near 11, but the rest of Labrador will be well below zero. So let's look at the forecast. We'll look ahead when I come back.
I had to protect myself and my family, and my reputation means a lot to me, and I work very hard.
The former mayor of Kippens is speaking out on the eve of a municipal election that she's not allowed to run in after the province removed her from the job. She's accused of bullying. Well, there is finally a municipal election in the west coast town of Kippens tomorrow, and there are others as well. But Kippens is getting attention because it appears to be the first place in our province where the provincial government has ever fired a mayor and removed her. Debbie Brake-Patton has remained silent about her dismissal and just what happened until now, and she joins us from Kippens. So explain to us, how did you find out that you were losing your job as mayor?
Well, the first correspondence I received was in September, and this alluded to the fact that I could be removed from my seat either through a vote of council or for the minister could go to the lieutenant governor and have me dismissed. And I was really shocked, but I thought for sure the fact that the election was deferred and they had received all the information from all parties, including my report that I had submitted back in December 2020, that they would find a resolution to this problem, and then that, everything would be good and I would be able to run and this would all be behind us.
Right, so you expected to be able to run in the election that's being held tomorrow, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So is it fair to say that the government fired you? I mean, I'm not sure what the right term is because I'm not familiar with this kind of action.
Well, I don't know about fired because I was a volunteer position and I didn't get paid. And, I won't miss the pay by being fired. However, I was dismissed. It was actually a dismissal.
Now, this dismissal came about as the result of some kind of review or investigation, and there is a document which is kind of secret because 19 pages out of 23 are blacked out, and the ones we can see are also blacked out. What were these allegations against you? Because apparently you were bullying somebody. I mean, what was up?
Well, basically, the whole, I guess the majority would be that I was injecting myself too heavily in the day-to-day operations of the town. I mean, I can elaborate on that if you like. There's one whereby I was allegedly took my own notes at a meeting, which was basically an information session with a developer and on a controversial subdivision that had been turned down twice previously. So I took my own notes just so that I could bring it back to council, because when you go to council votes, you want to make sure that all council are totally informed to make informed decisions.
Right.
So I took my own notes at an information session. I was allegedly accused of calling staff after hours, and I did probably on 3 occasions. Very important. I would not call unless it was a very important reason to do this. At one time, when I became mayor, my cell phone still had the previous mayor's voice message for 2 years. So on a Saturday, I went to the local technology store to try to have my voicemail changed. I couldn't do it because I didn't have access to the account. I didn't have a password. So I had to in turn call the town manager to see if I could get assistance. He couldn't assist me. So on the following Monday, the town clerk did actually assist with getting my password changed.
Right.
Another time I had to call the manager after hours because we were alerted that the town of Kippens was on the Supreme Court dockets. So of course, being mayor, I was concerned that we had to go to court. And I called the manager and I kind of oriented him to the court dockets, and he wasn't aware that we were going to court on Wednesday. But
Okay,
then
sorry. I just want to be clear. So are you saying that because you called people at inconvenient times on the weekends and other times that this was part of the reason why you were accused of being a bully?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
And because I'm trying to think, that expression where there's smoke, there's fire. So I'm trying to see, if you're accused of are you kind of an aggressive municipal leader? Is there some way that maybe you upset somebody?
No, I've never said a mean person to the complainant. In fact, we've had a great relationship up to about 2019. We are actually very close.
I've tried to speak to some of your critics who are on council as well as the government, and nobody will really explicitly explain or describe what we are told is the bullying or abuse that you did. As you know, the minister for this, Crystal Lynn Howell, she did speak to my colleagues on Newfoundland Morning. Here's part of what the minister told our radio host, Martin Jones.
Okay.
There was education, there was training, there was a attempt at mediation, and this has been an ongoing process. It wasn't a quick response on my part, and I do feel like there was adequate time for a change in behavior or an education to occur by which this behavior would have stopped or changed, and that didn't happen.
So there you have the minister saying that there was a chance for mediation, you could have changed, you didn't change. What's your response to that?
Wow. Well, there was never any mediation offered to myself or the complainant. There was no education or training offered to myself or the complainant. And I'm a volunteer mayor and I have a full-time job. The only time I go down to the town office would be during evening meetings. So I don't know how any behavior or harassment or bullying could continue or even occurred, because if I was at my workplace during the day, and so I don't know how this. I would like to see some evidence and some proof of this. I think it's very important that this investigation, this report, which has been heavily redacted, be made available to you, Anthony, as well as the residents of Kippens. And this is the first time after 28 years of professional practice and 13 years on council that I've had an allegation of harassment and bullying. And I think I had to protect myself and my family, and my reputation means a lot to me. And I work very hard to build this reputation. I want this to go away.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with this in the future and the results of the election tomorrow. Appreciate you coming on the air with us. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Anthony. Have a great day.
$100,000 equals 100,000 breakfasts. The Kids Eat Smart Foundation is in the running to win some big money, but there's a catch.
We need your vote.
Well, a local charity is in the running for a big national prize, but to win, it needs your vote. The Kids Eat Smart Foundation is one of 12 finalists in a competition to win $100,000. Selena Stoyles is the executive director and she joins me now. So $100,000, that is a lot of money. What could your organization do with that?
$100,000 means 100,000 breakfasts. Every day we serve over 31,000 meals to school-age children at no cost to families.
Can you tell us more about the need for children to have those breakfasts, to have that support when they go to school in the morning?
There's many reasons why children come to school hungry. We live in Newfoundland and Labrador, long bus rides, busy households, and sadly we do have children that do not have food in their home. So when you think about that, our goal as Kids Eat Smart is to ensure that every child, every youth who comes to school has access to food at no cost to families. We all know breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and when children come to school, have a nutritious meal, they're then mentally and physically ready to learn, and that is so critically important, especially during this time. We know that during the pandemic, if there's one thing that's been brought to the forefront is that families are struggling. So our goal is to make sure, for whatever reason a child comes to school hungry, that they have food. I think the pandemic has changed everything. The stats are saying 1 in 3 children in Canada come to school hungry. We're no different here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And the stats are already out as well that 1 in 6 families in St. John's do not know where their next meal is coming from. So when you think about an impactful gift like that of $100,000, we will ensure that every child or youth who comes to school hungry, they have food.
$100,000 equals 100,000 breakfasts. That's $1 a breakfast. How does that work?
It is. You know what? We have over thousands and thousands of volunteers who help us serve, make, clean up. They're the ones who really make the program happen, so we can do it at little or no cost.
How many children benefit from your program each year?
Every school year, we serve 5.4 million meals in Newfoundland and Labrador. We have 267 Kids Eat Smart clubs, and we're very proud of that. So an impactful gift of $100,000, we will continue to ensure that children have food.
Tell us about this competition. How does it work?
We are one of 12 finalists across the country. It is a national philanthropic contest, so you do have to vote. But it's simple. It's one click to kidseatsmart.ca, one click to vote, and that could help us win that huge, impactful gift.
And what is the deadline for this?
The deadline is November 30th. So
tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So if anybody's watching or listening, kidseatsmart.ca, click on the vote, and the children of Newfoundland and Labrador, they're the ones who will benefit from this.
Good luck with the competition. Selena Stoyles, thank you so much for telling us about it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Laurie McCarthy's company, Cod Sounds, is all about sharing our province's culture through food, using the local ingredients available to us season to season.
Yeah, and last week our colleagues at CBC Crosstalk connected with McCarthy to learn more about a new workshop that she's hosting. Koji is the art of intentionally making your food moldy. Yes, you heard me right, moldy on purpose, as opposed to the way I do it, by accident, so I'll let them explain.
You know, culture is something that changes all the time and evolves, and it's really exciting to be a part of it and to be meeting people that have lived here for so long, and the stories. And so it's, you know, food culture in Newfoundland is so special. And there's foods here you can't get anywhere else. People can come here and eat foods that they can't eat anywhere else. And so it is special.
Describe this workshop that we're in right now.
There's like bottles and jars of stuff brewing, and, you know, in terms of vinegars and kombuchas and flavors from here that we're playing with, and wild yeast and all kinds of stuff. I mean, this place was created so I could bring people into a space where we had a space to work from. So whether I was, you know, teaching workshops on wild game butchery or sausage making and lamb butchery and all that kinds of good stuff, yeah, it's a place where it all happens.
Why did you want to bring someone in who is a specialist on mold?
Because it's never been here before. And so that alone makes it super exciting, right? Because the food of here have never been treated like that, never been touched by this mold before. And imagine the possibilities that we can create.
And you may ask, like, well, why do we grow mold on things? Like, shouldn't we be afraid of mold? But in many cases, like a lot of the things that we eat that are aged and held for a period of time, we have this familiarity with mold. Like, you know, aged meats with, you know, the salumi that's hanging. All of these things that are sort of part of our culture that create these cultures such that we can eat food and have it be preserved for a longer period of time. And it also creates this level of concentration of flavor.
How optimistic or excited are you about where this might be actually going now?
Well, yeah, because I've spoken to people since, the people that were here that night, and I'm growing koji for them now because I have the whole setup, and I will grow them koji and I will pass it on, and I'm getting pictures from them. They're like me, they've got jars of fermenting and exploding things in their cupboards and things incubating all around the house, from miso that's, you know, in my cupboard to soy sauce that's being made out of mushroom scraps from Jerry's mushrooms and stems. And so it's a lot of that process. Like, yeah, I know they're going to do something with it, and it will change food here, and that's exciting. People are going to take this and embrace it, and it's going to change how they see food, work with food, look at food. It's going to evolve for them and for us. And now, maybe it's a part of our culture. Or maybe it was just the time when we discovered this thing and we documented it, and this is how it evolved, and you know, and then someone else took it and did something else with it. And that's what it's about.
Just in time for the holidays, a seasonal legend has returned to a shopping mall in Nova Scotia after a 15-year hiatus. And the comeback of Woody the Talking Christmas Tree is receiving international attention, including a shout-out from late-night talk show host Jimmy Fallon. Now, not all the recognition has been as heartwarming as some people's nostalgia, but the creators are happy to get noticed. The CBC's Preston Mulligan has the story.
Love him or hate him, Woody is back at the Micmac Mall in Dartmouth thanks to Mohammed Issa and his team here at Eureka Technologies in Lower Sackville.
It was a surreal kind of call that we got, and they wanted us to revive Woody. So that was about 3 weeks before we revealed Woody in the mall.
Issa and his team of 6 worked 7 days a week in their 3D printer shop, a labor of love, he calls it. He says he has a diverse team of artists and technicians who were stressed, but eventually thrilled with not only what they were able to get done, but also the reaction.
It's definitely about the nostalgia of thousands of people knowing Woody when they were kids and then seeing Woody uplifted and looks a lot better than it used to be.
The only artistic direction Micmac Mall managers offered was just to cheer him up a little bit. Whatever you may think about Woody today, he's at least not as gloomy as his predecessor. And you know you made something special when Late Night takes notice.
Well, now we know what the Christmas episode of Squid Game will look like.
But hey, when you're in the business of selling, any attention is welcome.
There's a lot of very, very positive comments about Woody coming back. There's also some negativity out there about it, but you know what? People are going to always poke fun about things like this, but it's just part of what Woody is.
Issa gives credit to the Micmac Mall for hiring a local company like his.
Just seeing how many people are just extremely happy and excited to be able to talk to the tree that we have created in this shop, it's just a really good feeling to being part of this whole thing.
Preston Mulligan, CBC News, Lower Sackville.
Now, poor Woody has been called the creepiest Christmas tree in Canada. So there you see, that's a picture of the original Woody. So you look at that, yeah, that's kind of Christmassy in a way. Now, the happy tree doesn't seem so strange to me all of a sudden.
No, I definitely see an improvement in the new one.
Wow.
But yeah. That might have given me nightmares as a kid, not gonna lie. But the new one is much nicer. With the rosy cheeks and looks like it's had a bit of a facial or something. Okay, so time for a look at the weather and looking ahead to the long range. What's in store for us later in the week?
Well, we're going to see a bit of a roller coaster this week as far as temperatures go. Warm up tomorrow, cool down on Wednesday. Let's take a look at the future tracker. So this is Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. We're going to see the potential for some snow squall. Pretty good setup, in fact, for the west coast. And some areas in these squalls, particularly in the higher elevations, may pick up between 5 to 15 centimeters. 5 centimeters being lower elevations, higher elevations closer to 15. And we could see some more. Definitely going to keep an eye on that one. But as we head through the day on Wednesday, that will generally continue for the west coast. Otherwise, a fairly quiet day, especially up across Labrador. You're actually going to see some clearing skies after all of that snowfall, and it's going to stay fairly quiet as we get through Thursday as well. May see some flurries develop for Lab West, but otherwise it will be quiet, and then a little bit of an unsettled day overnight Wednesday into Thursday morning, but that should move through quickly. We may see some rain in some cases for eastern areas of the island. And then as we get into Thursday, the onshore flow will continue, so the potential for showers or flurries through the afternoon. And then we watch our next weather maker move in, and this will be for Friday. Going to bring those temperatures up again into the double digits on Friday afternoon, and then more snow will develop for Labrador as that system rolls through. So Wednesday's temperatures, by tomorrow night, temperatures are going to start to dip, and by Wednesday morning, they're going to be into the single digits for the majority of the island. A little bit cooler for the northern peninsula, and then that's the case up across Labrador into the minus single digits. Lab City will sit around minus 12 on Wednesday, and then as we get into Thursday, minus single digits, and temperatures don't really move too much, a degree or two here and there, but overall, the further east you go, the better the weather as far as the sunshine is concerned. And then that warm up will happen on Friday. So double digits, and then look what happens on Saturday. They plummet down to the 0 degree mark, and there is a chance that we could see some flurries on Saturday with a mix of sun and cloud as well. And then for central Newfoundland, you're looking at that similar warm up, 10 degrees, and then by Tuesday Saturday back down below 0. Hovering around -2. And then for western Newfoundland, it is looking quite unsettled with showers for Friday, and then Saturday the flurry activity will return. For eastern Labrador, some snow will move in Thursday night and then mix with rain or change over to rain on Friday, and then Saturday dipping back down. Definitely a roller coaster in temperatures for you. For Lab West, not quite as, we're definitely not going to see those temperatures up above 0. They should stay below 0, so everything that does fall should fall as either snow or flurries through the weekend. Had to share this photo. The Northern Lights in Makovic. Holly Anderson shared that shot with me. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
Gorgeous.
Beautiful shot. Yep. If you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
I love
Absolutely stunning.
I love it when we get photos from those areas because it's always always gorgeous.
The Northern Lights and the sun and the sky, it's all beautiful.
Yeah.
And a beautiful photo like that helps me forget about Woody.
Yeah.
It's like a
I will never forget about Woody. That is burned into my brain.
Visual palette cleanser.
I think I had a doll that looked kind of like that as a child.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, like one of those blinky dolls, and the eyes get jammed, and then it just.
We'll have more on this tomorrow on here. We'll bring in our favorite creepy toys tomorrow at the end of the show.
That's it for us. Good night, everyone.
See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Sweet dreams.